us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your blood.
Follow the leader when the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Psst. I see dead people.
Put it on that beat. Go.
Aye, monster on the beat, ho, Debo, then he rap. He a freak throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro. Nella to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these? Trying to see Compton, the industry can hate me. Fuck 'em all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walking down whole time, I know he got some hoe in him. Pole on him, extort, bully the flow on him. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. And party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case, why is he around? Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 that him up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Happy Wednesday.
Like
welcome in to
like
KBLA
us.
Talk
Like
1580. Certainly, they not like us.
They not like us.
And,
like
you
us.
know,
You think the pay gon' let
a
you
lot of
taste
people
it?
that aren't like us, that wouldn't move in the way that we move, that wouldn't handle adversity in the same way that we do. But it's okay. We're going to get into those details shortly. Thank you for locking in. It's Jill Munroe here with you on this Wednesday. Happy official birthday to Martin Luther King Jr. You know, got to shout him out. I hope that you are having an amazing day, that you are comfortable. You got a beverage, some snacks, because we have some things to get into tonight. You heard Kendrick, They Not Like Us, you know, still bubbling under. And of course, we're going to be getting into Drake officially filing a lawsuit against UMG, his distribution company, I guess that's how you could term it, for that particular single. We'll get into some of the details of it, what Drake is alleging in his lawsuit. I know first we heard, he withdrew the petition. So many people thought that perhaps they were negotiating or a private settlement had been reached. But obviously that's not the case. We're going to get into all of that shortly. But before we get into that, you know, I always have to start the evening with a couple of conversation starters. And I feel like this one is a major bomb. And I am going to be seated and ready for this interview that is coming up tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. East Coast time. Just putting this out there. Wendy Williams is going to be on The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne. She is doing her first interview in quite some time. She opted to do it with her old friend, Charlamagne, and she's going to talk about some things and share her side of the story. And I hope, you know, it's Wendy, that maybe she'll say a little something about all the Diddy situation that has been floating. I would like to hear Wendy's opinion of everything that came out. And so would a lot of people, just because simply for the fact that, you know, Wendy was kicked off radio in New York because of conversations she had about Sean Combs at the time. And he, for a number of years, was a certified enemy of hers. So I would just like to hear her conversation. And speaking of Diddy, I have some details on that case and a filing that his lawyers have made that I think that you will find interesting. Andy?
So is Wendy Williams in good physical condition now?
The Charlamagne said he ran into her over the holidays. They spoke, and he mentioned this about a week or two ago and said that she could do radio tomorrow. Those were his words. There was some video of her spotted out and about over the holidays. She was in Florida for a graduation ceremony. She was on her little scooter. She was out and about meeting with fans, and she seemed like she was okay. Obviously, we don't know the deeper behind that or if that was just a moment in time, but she's going to address some of those things in the interview tomorrow morning. So you know what it is. I will have the details for you, so make sure you are checking in here so I can give you those updates. Speaking of that, I mentioned that we're going to have a Diddy update later. But some news that we talked about last night, LiAngelo Ball and his new Def Jam record deal. Well, Tweaker, his single, debuted at number 29 on the Hot Billboard 100. So, looks like the Ball brother has a hit. People are feeling it. I mentioned that Andy played it for me the other night because I had only heard a moment of it, and it definitely gave me, I said Nelly, but Cash Money is a lot of what we've been hearing. Definitely gives you that swang to it. So ball out. I'm not mad, Keep that thing going. 3 millionaires in the family. It's amazing. Andy, what were you about to say?
Shout out to Jello also. He also got added to the Rolling Loud lineup as well, too. So
I
good for him.
Listen, but here's the thing. To me, that is going to be very key, because if you can't perform, I don't want to hear it. You're going to do what you're going to do, but you better bring something to that stage.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to the Rolling Loud performances, I'm not really expecting much, to be honest with you, considering you have so many artists that go out there and perform.
But this is your first real debut. You better give us something.
They gonna rock with the song regardless. So I think that the energy from the crowd is gonna give it to them. It's probably gonna be just like when AB performed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
support your people. I feel that. When we come forward, we are going to break down the details of this Drake lawsuit, what he is accusing of, why he decided not to go after Kendrick. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked in to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We gon' be alright.
KBLA Talk 1580 is amplifying Black voices and spotlighting our untold stories. I'm Dominique DePrima. Join me Thursday from 6 to 9 a.m. as we broadcast live from the Altadena, Pasadena area. Due to the National Guard closing down this section, we will not be at Perry's Joint. Our new location is the Pasadena Church East Campus at 425 Sierra Madre Villa. We'll be covering the individuals and families impacted by the Altadena Eaton fire. Hear from community leaders and those who have suffered losses that must not be forgotten. So join us Thursday at the Pasadena Church East Campus at 425 Sierra Madre Villa. Together we can help them rebuild and recover. Together we are LA Strong, LA United. With your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. Let us get into the details of this Drake lawsuit against his parent label, Universal Music Group. So, according to DMZ, he filed the lawsuit earlier today in a New York City court, right? And he is accusing UMG of spreading harmful falsehoods about him, including promoting claims made in Kendrick's song, Not Like Us. Much like with the petition, he's not targeting Kendrick specifically, which I find incredibly interesting. And not that I have a legal background, but I've seen a couple of things like this. It just seems interesting to me that you can go after the parent label and not the artist in this suit. But let's get into what the complaint is alleging. It is saying that UMG knowingly pushed false and malicious narratives that have damaged his reputation and career. He claims the label monetized the controversy for financial gain and sought to devalue his brand to gain leverage in future contract negotiations. That has been a conversation that's ongoing. Drake had almost satisfied all of the requirements from the last contract he had with UMG. We know that that contract was worth about $400 million. The rumor mill said that he was looking for upwards of $600 or $700 million to re-up with them, and that they weren't exactly feeling that number. So Drake is alleging that they pushed this or put the switch up on him in order to be able to underbid him in renegotiations, right? He said that his previous deal with UMG obviously played a role in the escalating tensions. He stated that UMG amplified inflammatory and shocking allegations, labeling him a pedophile, knowing the claims were false. He also accuses the label of manipulating streaming data and engaging in pay-for-play schemes to boost the song's reach, including efforts to secure Kendrick Lamar a Super Bowl halftime performance. So Drake is alleging that UMG not only pushed the song more than they would other things, but paid people to play, including internet personalities. He has named Kai Cenat. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Cenat? But you know what I'm talking about. Kai, that guy. Just playing. The internet guru. And others are mentioned in there, including someone named No Life Shack, Zayez, RDC Gaming, and Cartier Family. That UMG enabled the content creators with massive followings to also monetize their reactions on Not Like Us without executing copyright strikes. So what he is talking about is when Kendrick released Not Like Us, he also took all copyrights out of it. So if you were on YouTube and wanted to play the song as an underbed for you, you weren't going to get a copyright strike against that. He wasn't taking any monies out of your views if you opted to do that. And basically, he just put out the song and isn't earning any revenue on it, in theory. He is from some of the streams, but any place else, he's not. And Drake is saying that that was purposely done by Universal in order to fraudulently boost up the song, right? I think Drake's being ridiculous, but continuing on with what else he is alleging in this suit, right? The pay-for-play thing is so interesting to me, and the bots, because I feel as though Drake is telling on himself in that regard, because thank you for those, because obviously if you were that positive and you know exactly how they do it and you're accusing them of payola, and I know you had the petition, then Drake, you are and have been one of the most streamed hip-hop artists in the last decade. The 2010s really belong to you. So, did you get your position from much of the same type of nasty work that you're now accusing them of? The second thing to that is Drake said Kendrick was not only a womanizer, but a woman beater. He accused him of domestic violence accusations. He said that Kendrick's wife, Whitney, that she had extramarital affairs and that one of their children did not belong to Kendrick and Whitney. So it is interesting to me because Whitney, fair game, I mean, not fair game, is a civilian, not part of the beef, really. I know why you're targeting her. We can get into some more details about that in a second, but she could have, to me, a defamation lawsuit against you with a much better case because, Drake, you are a public figure. This is hip-hop and beefs. You have come at and been involved in several rap beefs. What about all of the things that you said about Pusha T? You accused Pusha T's wife as well of cheating on him and some other things. You know, I said this, and I will continue to say this. I feel like Drake went wrong when he stopped making music for women. When he started coming out the gate, dissing Serena and Rihanna, retiring Lyra and Bria Miles jerseys, and just getting real, you know, instead of being heartbreak Drake, being aggressive Drake, I don't know, something seemed to switch up. But I say all that to say, you know, Serena's husband, you threw some shots at him. You have thrown a lot of shots out there, and now you're kind of hiding your hand and saying, no, no, no. But this version of it was much more harmful than any of the things that I've alluded to or any of the information that I've put out there. And I kind of don't understand how that works. But to continue on with what else Drake has to say in this 81-page document. The lawsuit is focused solely on UMG and not Kendrick, and he's dropped the petition which he was targeting UMG and Spotify. That was just more to look into their books, sort of to see who they were paying and who they cooked the books. But he dropped that, and now he is officially moving forward with this, right? The court filing to drop the information was done the day before by his law firm Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, and it was through his Frozen Moments LLC. And I don't know, Drake. I don't see how you can believe that this was the best approach, especially with the number of disses and slights that you have put out there to various people not in the music industry that could legitimately have the same the same beef with you. You know, I don't understand. Were you really that hurt that your spot got took? Were you really that hurt? You thought you had it in the bag. That's what this reads as. You did not imagine a world where you are not on top anymore. And now, what do you, like, my next question is, does Drake still want to be a rapper? Seriously, because you're doing this to your label, you're doing this to the hip-hop community. Where does that kind of leave you? Again, do I think that he could recover musically from this? Of course. But the way that things are shaking out and the way that he's looking, not hip-hop at all, sir. Not at all. And that's one of the knocks against you. Drake also alleged in this suit that there was some anti-Semitism going on with the music because of the line that, which line is it? It's 62 because I highlighted this one, in the suit. It says, furthering the recording's refrain that Drake is not like us. The recording alludes to Drake's Jewish heritage, saying that Drake is not a colleague, but a effing colonizer. It does say that. However, that says nothing about your heritage, Drake. It just real tricky, really, really tricky. Andy, you look like you have something to add to this.
I'm just extremely disappointed in Drake. Extremely disappointed. Shout out to Kendrick. He stripped you naked, and you really don't even know how to respond. Jill, perfect breakdown, because, you know, when I was reading bits and pieces of the lawsuit or whatnot, I was like, yo, you kind of said some foul things to other people too, bro. Like, you can't take it yourself, homie. Like you said, this is not hip hop. At the same time, though, I think another reason why he's reacting like this is because I think some, not going to go ahead and say all, some of the stuff that Kendrick might have alleged might be a little bit true.
I mean, I think that there was some sprinklings of truth in some of the things that were put out there. And Kendrick was very strategic with how he laid his argument out. And there are definitely, there's so many things. Him saying that he went to Atlanta to get his lingo up and with Migos and all of the things. These are things that definitely happened. And on one hand, yeah, you are supposed to expand. Yeah, tap into other avenues to keep yourself fresh, to stay relevant, to see what is growing. However, Drake, when it stopped working for you, when you were almost 40 wearing the bobos in your hair, like you regressed. Go back to Heartbreak Drake, maybe. I don't know. But this is ugly. And I kind of don't know how he's going to recover from it because you've always talked about your enemies and people hating on you. Let me stop for a second. Can we talk about Dylan Brooks for a second? Dylan Brooks, Houston Rockets. I believe that's where he is now, right? Dylan and Drake have a beef that has been going on for quite some time over a woman. This woman, Drake has mentioned her in his songs. As a matter of fact, I think it was on the For All the Dogs album. Can't remember because Drake has put out a lot of music. Not all of it memorable over the past couple of years. But there is an interlude where a girl is talking about how the guy did not fly her first class and she got on the plane and there were no first class seats there for her and she couldn't believe it, and that they went to Jamaica and she was tired of eating jerk chicken and oxtails every day, but the oxtails were fire. That young lady is a young lady that both Drake and Dylan messed with, allegedly. And she was a scammer. She went to jail in Oklahoma for a year. And she had a restitution of, she's like credit card things, something of that nature. Her restitution was $650,000. Do you know who paid that restitution for her? Drake did. And her lawyer's fees. And Drake dressed up. He said he had one of the best special effects artists in Hollywood. He dressed up as an old man so that he could sneak into court and be there for the court appearances. Well, allegedly, this woman was going back and forth between Dylan and she. And that recorded conversation, allegedly, I don't know if this is all the way true because I don't know how it could have ended up on the album, but allegedly, Drake recorded that without her consent and put it on the album. Again, talking about Dylan Brooks, throwing shots. And there's several. I'll have to pull it up for you guys. I probably should have pulled it up tonight, but I forgot. But there's several songs where Drake is throwing little shots at Dylan secretly. Talking about his money, getting his weight up. Drake, you do this. You are the king of the sneak diss.
Ja Morant as well.
John Morant, like it's a couple of people. He's out there, look at
DeMar DeRozan.
Well, that wasn't even a sneak diss. Look at what he's trying to do to LeBron, allegedly. You were trying to ruin LeBron's good reputation. You're trying to ruin LeBron's proper standing. But something obviously happened with Drake and LeBron. I will say that because, it was just a couple of months ago after, well, maybe not even months, last year when Bronny came back, when Drake was on tour, Bronny walked out when Drake had all the celebrities walking out with him. Bronny, when the show was in LA, walked out with Drake. But there was video a little while later that we saw Savannah and LeBron kicking it. I think Drake was at might have been Bryce's game or something. And Savannah looked as if she didn't have any words. She didn't want to speak to Drake. She kind of looked him off. So something may have happened. They may have fallen out, which is why LeBron might have felt free and clear to jump up at the pop out and say they not like us and get his thing on. Beefs happen. People don't have to let us know every single time something goes down.
LeBron didn't go on stage though.
He didn't go on stage.
He didn't go on stage, even though he looked like he wanted to.
He wanted to. Savannah was like, chill. He just let Russ and DeMar do it. But even still, Point being, he's trying to expose him, right? Put his credibility up for question. But you don't want anybody looking at you like that, but you which I also think that it is kind of a, dare I say, cowardice move not to sue Kendrick as well. Because you are alleging that the words that he said are false, so false that they're damaging your career, but you are going around it by blaming the label for distributing it. And you know, in theory, that's not how that works. Because if the label had tried to shut you down with some of your lyrics and things, you would have been talking about a whole other thing. You know what I'm saying? We have comments in the YouTube chat that we are going to get to on the other side. But Drake, you're tripping. You're very much acting like a Karen right now. We are going to see how this plays out. And I say this sadly as a Drake fan, you know? We got to get this together. When we come forward, we're going to have more on Drake, more trending topics and headlines. You are locked in to KBLA Talk 1580, news, sports, and traffic on the other side.
I had this jumping because I get a wedgie, be flipped over your boxes, or over your foe. The other straighten they posture, got favors all up in contact. Might write this with a doctor. Tell a pop star quit hiding. A caption, won't action, no accident. I'm hands on. He around, get polished. On Wayne Grow, he was in jail. That's conniving. Then get his face tatted like a apologizing. I'm glad D-Rose came home. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alondra down to Central, better not speak on Serena. And your homeboy needs subpoena. That predator moving flocks. That name gotta be registered and placed on neighborhood watch.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Biden is delivering his farewell address from the Oval Office.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration.
In his opening remarks, Biden spoke about the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal. Former Minneapolis officer J. Alexander King, convicted in George Floyd's murder, was released from an Ohio federal prison today. Sentenced in 2022 to 3.5 years, he remains on supervised release until March. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams has announced a $650 million plan to help the city's homeless and mentally ill with care, housing, and 900 new shelter beds to reduce hospitalizations and street homelessness. And MSNBC President Rashida Jones is stepping down after 4 years. The first black executive to lead a major U.S. news network, Jones called her tenure the most rewarding chapter of her career. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Irwindale, 210 eastbound at the 605. It's a crash, second lane from the left block. Delays out of Pasadena from just about Mountain. Also, we're heading out to Elysian Park with the crash, 110 northbound past Figueroa. Right shoulder is out where it is now. Lanes are open. Delays are pushing back, getting away from the 105. Griffith Park, 134 eastbound at Forest Lawn. It's a wreck in the 3 middle lanes. Delays jamming up away from Bob Hope Drive. And in Brea, a crash on the 57 northbound past Tonner Canyon. It's another problem with the 3 left lanes blocked. Delays from Imperial Highway.
Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have been 96 today. If he was still with us, he would likely be delighted with the significant progress made by African Americans in sports. When Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, there were no black managers in Major League Baseball. Today, there are 2 right here in LA. Ron Washington with the Angels and Dave Roberts with the Dodgers. There were no black quarterbacks in the NFL in 1968. When the 2024 season kicked off in September, 14 of the NFL's 32 teams started a black quarterback. There were no black head coaches in the NFL in 1968. Since 1989, the NFL has had 20. And there were no black head coaches in Division I college football in 1968. On Monday night in Atlanta, where Dr. King built his civil rights legacy, Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman has a chance to be the first black head coach to win a Division I football national championship. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your beer.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
The Ignited Light program invites one and all to the 8th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, January 18th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. The spirit of Dr. King's legacy of service continues as local organizations come together. A drive-through food giveaway, free medical services, the Department of Children's Services offering employment opportunities, foster and emancipated females aged 18 to 26 can take part in a very special She Ready luggage giveaway on Saturday, January 18th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. More info, visit adayon.org. Again, adayon.org. Drivers, please enter from the Marlton Ave entrance.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Pop another bottle if you like that.
These talking out of their neck, don't put no coughing out of your mouth. I'm way too paranoid for a threat. Hey, let's get it, bro. DOT, the money, power, respect. The last one is better. Say yes, a lot of goofies with a check. I mean, I hold them sentiments symbolic. My temperament bipolar, I choose violence. Okay, let's get it up. It's time for him to prove that he's a problem. Clicking up, but cannot be legit. No 40 water, tell him. Yeah, get up with me. Sneak this in first person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches. I crash out like rap. This Melly Mel if I had to. Got 2 T's with me. I'm snatching chains and burning tattoos. It's up. Lost too many soldiers not to play it safe. If he walk around with that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Think I won't drop the location. I still got PTSD. Mother the big 3. It's just big me. Boom.
Welcome back in to KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar, the West Coast in the building. No, I don't want to do Drake like this. I was prepared to just let it be what it was, and we all come back and rock out to the music again, just a battle. Much like what happened with Meek, you weren't trying to do any lawsuits when you were up over Meek. You said a lot about Meek. You crashed out a little bit about Nicki as well. Told you Drake is always talking about women. And let me add this as a side. Almost 3 years ago now, because we are in 2025, Drake was among several music artists, including John Legend, Alicia Keys, 50 Cent, Megan Thee Stallion, that added their signature to the Art on Trial, Protect Black Art, an open letter that was basically protesting the use of rap lyrics in court. Okay? So it it explained that, using rap lyrics to criminalize black artists, and I suppose his way around this, once again, is that he is not suing Kendrick. He's specifically suing UMG, right? And listen, Drake is tripping. I'm going to continue to say that. Drake is tripping. Let me get to some of these comments in the chat. Fahima says, Drake is nearly 40 and too old for this juvenile behavior. I agree. Lucas Frank says, let's be real here. Billboard ranked Taylor Swift the #1 artist of the 21st century. Drake was ranked #2. Kendrick wasn't even on the list.
Irrelevant.
But I think the point he is trying to make is that Drake, I mean, have you really been tarnished?
I see what you mean.
And
I agree, because he probably needs to have a conversation with Meek, right? Because after Meek lost with Drake, Meek, quote unquote, took his hip hop L, but they eventually, mended their problems, worked on a dope song together, dropped the album.
Same with Chris Brown.
Exactly. Ain't nobody looking at, Meek lost against Drake, but we still rocking with Meek. And I do agree that if Drake kind of kept it pushing and just dropped a song or an EP or album or whatnot, people are gonna be vibing to it. Yeah, you lost against Kendrick, but we still rocking with you. But all these antics right now, it's not looking good at all.
It kind of adds credence to some of the things that Drake has been accused of. Two, it keeps bringing it back up. I understand you don't want to see it performed at the Super Bowl, but come on, Drake.
What are the odds that Kendrick performs at the Super Bowl?
Oh, he has to. He has to. And if he doesn't, why aren't you? Here's the thing. Even if there's just 16 bars of the instrumental or something like that, or just they not he
there we go.
Has to.
Part of me was just if he did perform that, like I said, hardest diss track ever. Why? You're performing that song on a worldwide platform, the Super Bowl.
Possibly could be 60 million or more people watching.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, TV off, I think we expect to hear that, obviously. To me, TV off was the replacement for him not performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl.
Oh, if he performs TV's Up?
I mean, if he doesn't perform Not Like Us, TV off is right there for you.
Is it right there? It's right there for us, the West, but it's not, the rest of the world may not. I'm not saying
you don't think they rock with TV off?
They may not be as familiar. Do you know what I mean? Not Like Us legitimately became an anthem around the world. TV's obviously it's a fire song. I'm rocking with it. The whole GNX album, heavy rotation in my home, vehicle, whatever. But I don't know if the rest of the world, anywhere you go, you just play the opening beat. It's over. It's over. And still shout out to Rodney O and Joe Cool. I know that's old, but just the total execution of that, using the old school West Coast hip hop classics, the way that he told Drake, I know you're going to do this, and Drake did it, and then he came right back with something. Because there was a period of time, if we're being honest, when Drake dropped Family Matters, I feel like people thought Drake was winning. People were more on, and it's a fire track.
That Family Matters was fire.
It was fire. But then, Kung Fu Kenny came back with Not Like Us and demolished everything else, right? There's more going in the chat. Pretty Brown Mimi says, Drake's drama sounds like a soap opera. Wasn't he a child actor on Degrassi in Canada? Shout out to Degrassi Junior High on PBS in the 80s, before Drake's time, of course. I remember the OG one. I never watched any of them. But speaking of Degrassi, here is something that is interesting and of note. So, Jimmy, Drake's character on the show, got pew-pewed and ended up in a wheelchair. Everybody knows it's a joke. Wheelchair Jimmy, wheelchair Jimmy. Drake threatened to sue the writers and producers of the show, according to one of the writers, because at the time he was just starting his rap career and he felt like he would lose credibility and street cred with Jimmy being in a wheelchair and how that made him look. So he is not above litigation. He is not above the threats within his workplace situation.
Bro, you didn't have any credibility being an actor on Degrassi. Stop it.
So I'm just saying, Drake is known to do these things. And it really is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Especially, see, there's a side to this that part of me is wondering if it does get to a certain point, right? And things come out about pay for play or whatever, because we know it's there.
It's there 100%.
It happens. Right?
Engagement farming, all of that.
What is the trickle-down effect for artists and the music industry? Not that we've been through this before. Like, I think it was in the 50s and 60s when, there were federal laws and things like that. We go through this in the music industry, but I'm really curious if there will be any type of trickle-down effect because you're suing a distributor as an artist, the way that we are set up right now in the music industry and what streaming is doing.
Does Drake have enough power?
I think he does. I don't know if he will win, but I think about what we said. Top artist of the decade, millions and millions and millions of streams. I don't know if he has the power to actually take them down, but he can shake some stuff up. We don't know what the fallout could be from all of this.
Didn't Prince go through this? Did Michael Jackson kind of go through this?
They tried to sue based off of performance royalties and things with the contract. This is totally different. He is holding them responsible, saying that they were okay with and pushed, material that was defaming him in order to block their negotiations. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Crazy. What does Gunplay say? Crazy, thick.
Oh, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
All of those things. Listen, when we come forward, I will give you UMG's response because, yes, they have already responded and put something out. And they're not playing with Drake. So this is all going to be interesting. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
What make you? Yeah.
We're
California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in to KBLA Talk 1580. So we are talking about this Drake lawsuit against UMG and what it means for hip-hop, actually. I don't know if we will ever see a diss rap, beef come to fruition again because of how far this has gone, the heights that it has gone. I think it's going to be a long time. There might be some minor stuff, but of two major artists such as this, I don't think that we will see. These are two titans in the rap industry. They're the heavyweights, like you said. When Jay-Z and Nas did it, excuse me, back in the 2000s, they were huge. When Cube and Tupac and NWA and Bad Boy versus Death Row and all of that, all of these artists, the reason why it was so big was because they were at the top of their game when it came down. So it's just interesting to me how it seemingly is being overlooked in Drake's lawsuit, who he is. And, he threw out 2 shots. What was it? Push-ups and something else before Kendrick even responded. After what Metro Boomin did that song. Like that, yeah. So I don't know. So let me tell you what UMG has said, right? They released a statement and they said, not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. We have invested massively in his music, and our employees are around the world and have worked tirelessly, for many years to help him achieve historic commercial and personal financial success. They also said throughout his career, Drake has intentionally and successfully used UMG to distribute his music and poetry to engage in conventionally outrageous back and forth rap battles to express his feelings about other artists. He now seeks to weaponize the legal process to silence an artist's creative expression and to seek damages from UMG for distributing that artist's music. We have not and do not engage in defamation against any individual. At the same time, we will vigorously defend this litigation to protect our people and our reputation, as well as any artist who might directly or indirectly become a frivolous litigation target for having done nothing more than write a song. So UMG is standing on business, and they basically have said, hey, if you come after Kendrick, we're going to defend him too. You tripping, buddy.
And the key thing is, they talked about how they invested in Drake for so long. So to your point, you kind of mentioned it earlier, like, how would Drake know these things if some of that stuff wasn't beneficial for him? In the day of AI and bots and stuff like that, you see it all over. You know what I mean? Like, how was it that an artist will drop an album and they already platinum?
We know, listen, the fans get the word. Things move differently now, currently. But I just, is this all just to get them not to have that performance at the Super Bowl? I just wonder, after you go through this litigation, who are you? There's only really 2 distributors, maybe 3. Who's going to put out your music? Now, you're not really worried about physical copies, let's say. Okay, fine. You are doing this to protect your other corporate interests. You know, you have a deal with Nike and brand Jordan. You have a bunch of other things that are bustling under that you're saying that this is impacting. But you not being a rapper, that's going to impact everything. I'm just saying.
He's just hurt. He
really is.
Because once again, I mean, he has a what do you call that? He thinks full of himself. That's not the word I was looking for, but he thinks full of himself, because if he didn't care too much and he just dropped some music, people will, they won't trip. They will not trip.
I mean, it would be, it's still going to come up from some people, but hey, people still bring up how you clowned Meek.
Exactly.
How you destroyed Meek. It's 6 years later at this point?
Mm-hmm.
More than that, maybe. Maybe, what was that, 2018? I can't really recall, but
something like that.
Long time ago. But they moved on, and Meek is still out there running around doing Meek, and I guarantee Drake would still be able to be Drake. He could have made a melodramatic confession, diary, something, because we respect Drake's sensitive side, always have. That's actually what made him different from a lot of other artists when he dropped back in 07, 08, whenever that was. So it's just disappointing to see him go out like that, because one, I feel like this isn't hip hop. And if you are making the argument that you are truly doing this to protect your brand and because of the business, what's the next step? Because you're saying it's about negotiations. I hope you have somebody else lined up to put out that music. You know, I mean, Drake is rich enough. He could probably handle all of the things himself and still turn a profit, but it just seems short-sighted in all of this, right? So, excuse me, we will have to see what develops. So briefly, I want to let you guys in on a little bit, and we'll get into this story probably more later. However, Diddy's lawyers have come back swinging at some of the accusations that have been put out here. You know, we're in the discovery phase. The trial is scheduled to begin in May. And according to new legal docs, Diddy's defense team is claiming that they've seen 9 of the so-called freak-off videos that the feds are talking about. And oh, by the way, they are also saying that these videos weren't necessarily in Diddy's possession, that they didn't necessarily come from the raid on his homes. They are also saying that the activity on the tapes is private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. It's about victim number 1, which we do know now is Cassie. And his lawyers are saying not only was all of the sex shown in these tapes consensual, that Cassie was enjoying it and she was dominant in the videos. Now, obviously, if this makes it to trial, those things become evidence. I mentioned this, I think it was last year when Cassie's lawsuit first came out. This case is in the Southern District. This is not a case, this is not a courtroom that allows cameras in. So you will not see any video footage from any of these trials and pre-hearings and things of that nature. All you will see are those little ugly drawings that the sketch artist does and hear the notes. So we still have some time, but not that it is unexpected that Diddy's defense team was going to kind of put it back on Cassie, but there have been a lot of questions about what type of evidence they have, who is a part of it, and so forth. And his lawyers are also alleging that people looking for, this is what they said, not only did Cassie consent, but she thoroughly enjoyed herself by what they saw in the video and is evidently happy, dominant, and completely in control of whatever is taking place on these tapes, which would be evidence and presented in trial should it evolve to that point. So that's just a little on that. We can get into more of the details about all of it tomorrow. Prosecutors described the videos as elaborate and produced sex performances. So, it's getting sticky. It is getting tricky, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. What does it say? Baxter Mock says those tapes need to be released. No, they don't. No, they don't. We don't really need to see that. We'll just hear in conversation about it. But apparently, he's saying Cassie was like Janet in 85. So we'll have to see what comes up with that. Listen, thank you all for locking in here on KBLA Talk 1580 for this entertainment news update. You know what's coming up next, right? You know who is next in the building. Zoe Williams here to put it down and, give you that into your night that you need with that solid advice and, those lovely feelings, that hard love. We like that. Make sure that you are here every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. for your entertainment news update. Thank you for locking in. I appreciate you so much. When we come forward, news, traffic, and sports. Thank you for locking into KBLA Talk 1580.
Shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. I crash out like rap. This Melly Mel if I had to. Got 2 T's with me. I'm snatching chains and burning tattoos. It's up. Lost too many soldiers not to play it safe. If he walk around with that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Think I won't drop the location. I still got PTSD. Mother the big 3. It's just big me. Boom. I'm really like that. And your best work is a light pack. Prince outlived Mike Jack. Boom. For all your dogs getting buried.